Hello, everyone, and welcome to the thru Recovery Life podcast. This is a parking lot discussion where a few sober alcoholics will meet and talk about anything sobriety related, like we do in the parking lot and in-person meetings. Today, we are discussing, let's say, part two of triggers. Triggers and recovery. Are they real? What are some of the triggers? What are some of your triggers? And how can we deal with those triggers? How can we deal with them? So my name is John, and I am an alcoholic. Go ahead, Jen G. Jen G, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jen G. I'm from Michigan. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic.
And cousin, introduce yourself. Go ahead, Joyful Jen, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen. I'm an alcoholic and I'm from London, UK.
Welcome to the welcome to the colonies. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Hi everybody. I'm Suzanne and I'm an alcoholic and an addict and I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Right, Suzanne. Come on in, Regina.
I'm Regina. I'm an alcoholic. I'm in Ohio.
But driving back to Chi-Town, right?
Yes.
Come on in, cousin.
Yes, good afternoon, family. I'm Jonathan, and I'm an alcoholic, and I'm in New York.
Right.
Glad to be here.
Is mostly in New York, but he spent some time in South Florida as well. All right. So, who wants to give us a definition of a trigger? What do you think a trigger is? And no, don't try to be funny and say trigger is Roy Rogers' horse. Is the name of Roy Rogers' horse? Go ahead, Susan. You look like you have an answer.
Well, I'm not sure if it's the right definition, but as you asked, what's my idea of it is a trigger would be something that I think would stir up an emotion within me or feeling of anxiety or a feeling that would be so overwhelming that I would potentially consider or think about drinking, that it might take me down that path. And that's and what triggers are, I'm sure, are different for everybody. Everybody would have, it would be different for everybody. And I think it's a great topic, and I'm really looking forward to everybody's feedback. But that would be my definition of a trigger.
Fantastic. Like you, Jen G, what do you think a trigger is?
Well, my name's Jen. For today, everything is a trigger for me. This is my day one after being in this program for 20 years. I'm having a little bit of a hard time, and I'm trying to do a little bit at a time. So today, everything is a trigger. So that's why I'm on this meeting. Thank you for hosting.
Understandable. This is just a podcast, not a meeting. Go ahead, Regina. What do you think a trigger is?
I think a trigger could be something that, like a switch, it turns, when it's turned on, it causes you to react in a certain type of way and draws you into a direction that maybe have a positive or negative impact on your spiritual journey.
All right. Thank you, Regina. Cousin, go ahead, cousin.
Yeah, I'm Jonathan, alcoholic. Yeah, a trigger is a person. It can be a person, place, or a thing that causes me to feel uncomfortable and stuff. And they're positive triggers too now, but those are some negative triggers that will make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's exactly it. A few people touched on it, and yeah, there are some positive triggers, but also yesterday what we found out is that the trigger is something that emotes an emotion, and then people want to drink because they don't want to feel the way they're feeling. Sometimes it's It could be your coworker, it could be your boss. Definitely family members could be triggers. You know, I've been sober for a long time, for a very long time, and I have no triggers for alcohol. Nothing triggers me to make me want to drink, nothing. But I have a knucklehead son. He triggers an emotion in me that pisses. I love my son to death, but I can't stand him. Great kid.
And
So yeah, and then a song could trigger an emotion, good or bad. You know, a smell could trigger an emotion, good or bad. I knew this guy. He had almost 40 years sobriety at the time. This was in the early 2000s, and he did not go to baseball games because they were a trigger for him. You know, the sight, the smell, the sounds, were a trigger for him. So he did not go to baseball games, even with 30 plus years of almost 40 years of sobriety. So yeah, you never know what can be a trigger for somebody. I thank God that I do not have any triggers for alcohol. Nothing is going to trigger. Food is more of a problem for me. You know, it's more of a trigger for me. But so they are real. For they are real. So, have you had any personal experience where something triggered something in you that either made you want to drink or made you react whatever way negatively? Uh, Mostly we're talking about the negative, triggers that it make us have a negative response. That's what we're talking about, because those are the ones that will that may take us out. Positive trigger is not going to make somebody want to. Definitely a negative trigger may. So, has anyone had any experiences like that?
yeah, this is Suzanne. I'm Suzanne. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. Yeah, I do. And I kind of chuckled a little bit when you mentioned your son, because I have the exact same situation. Well, I don't know your situation. I shouldn't say that, but I feel like that too. My son is a big trigger for me. And he's my only child. And he's in his addiction. He drinks, used to do drugs. I don't know if he's doing them anymore. I don't think he is. He's a father of 4 children, and his wife abandoned the children. He's got a lot on his plate, but he's just on the edge all the time. However, what I've learned and what I'm learning to do in order to not allow him to trigger my emotion is, one, I always pray before I speak to him. But ever since I actually did made my amends to him, because when I first started out on my amends, I was thinking about all the things that he had done to me and how he treats me. And I was able to take it and turn it absolutely around the way I was supposed to and focus only on me and what I had done to him, and really thought long and hard about it. And once we got through that process and I had that conversation, it's like something happened, something changed. And ever since then, I don't trigger anymore when I talk to him. He's calm. He's not on the edge. So I don't know if how I handled the triggering was to really step back and look at myself, which is what I needed to do, and what I could do differently that would result in a different outcome, and maybe not allow him to flip that switch. I like that what Regina said, is have that switch flipped to where it triggers that emotion that gets me so upset that when I hang up, all I want to do is go have a drink because I just don't want to feel it. So that's an example of what, but I'm just amazed how God works in my life and in this program, that I'm now able to, and it's not a perfect situation. There will be times when things will happen, but so far I've really actually managed to be able to manage them based on what I've learned so far in AA and in this program. And knowing that you know, he's sick. He's a sick person too.
All right,
And-
Suzanne. Now let's get some more people in here.
Okay.
But thank you.
Sure.
Regina, go ahead, Regina.
Thank you, Suzanne, so much for that. You know, I must say, first of all, that over a year ago, when I came to the Zoo Crew, John, you really made me feel like I was at home. I have to say that because from then on, I have been working this program and I have been learning so much about this disease, so much I wish I had known earlier, but I didn't stick and stay. But I'm so happy now because when I am triggered, I have a different mindset about when I get that emotion, that that urge to like, what is going on? Something is not right here. And it makes me feel like having some kind of action behind the emotion. But now my mindset is different, so that it's not that I don't want to feel the emotion. It's like the emotion is here. This emotion has come. It's presented itself. Now, what is going to be my response? Not so much as a reaction now, but how do I respond to it, knowing from my experience now that these things will happen in life because we're amongst imperfect people. We're perfectly imperfect, like I am. So I am so grateful for this program because you have taught me, it has teaching me so much about how to deal with those situations that may unsettle me and cause me to have some type of emotion that is not beneficial for my spiritual development or growth. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Regina. Right, who wants to jump in? Go ahead. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, Jen, alcoholic. I'm loving this discussion so far. Funny enough, before we joined this, I had a look on the in the big book, and there's a dictionary for the big book, and I was looking at how it looked at, or its idea of what it means by trigger. And guess what? It wasn't in there. Because I believe the big book looks at it as causes and conditions. So what is it in me that I am not dealing with in my recovery that would cause me to pick up a drink or cause me to act out? And that's where I need to start looking at myself. It's interesting because in early recovery, those causes and conditions are very different to what they are today. So I think the very basic for me was to look at the hungry, angry, lonely, tired, the halt. And that was very real for me for a long time in early recovery. You know, I used to just drink on anything and everything. There was no rhyme or reason in the end. And it, you know, it was originally because for me, it was about incredible feelings, trauma, emotions, all the stuff that got way too much for me that I couldn't cope, to the point that I didn't even know I didn't know when I was hungry. I didn't know when I was angry, didn't know when I was lonely, and didn't know when I was tired. But as I grow in recovery and I focus on those causes and conditions, and I look at myself and my reactions and responses to life, that's when I learned to navigate the deeper things that come up and expose themselves in my life in recovery. And a lot of it is about undealt with trauma, uncomfortable feelings. I'm not very good at dealing with confrontational situations, and it's learning to be okay with certain things and knowing how I am in my authentic self as a person. But I think for me, one of my biggest, I hate the word trigger, but because that's a very sort of therapeutic sense, isn't it? That's the word they use in therapy. But one of my biggest things would be trauma responses and or conflict, you know, overpowering people, because I feel that I end up feeling belittled. And so it's about learning my worth and not feeling that I have to hide within myself. So in terms of a trigger, that's kind of like where I would go with that.
Right. Okay. Thank you, George. And Cousin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, and thanks for this platform, this conversation. And anybody, you know, if you got to know me, you know I'm a very, very sensitive person, and I always feel like stuff is going on, and sometimes it's not as crazy as I can make it. And so I'm glad that I got the right people around me that I can talk to and stuff like that. When you talk, it's right now. You guys know, well, John, some of you know my history, and I'm coming up on 3 years. And I've been through this a few times where around the 3 year mark, I went back out and drank multiple times, talking about four to five times. And so I'm a little nervous and I'm a little scared. And though I'm doing everything that I can do, and that I'm supposed to do, in the back of my mind, I sometimes still, and I guess that's because I'm human. I still have those bad memories of when I went out at around the 3 year mark. So just a few years of not drinking sometimes can be a trigger for me, obviously. So I have to do things differently this time. I have to really stick close, keep getting the help that I need. I'm not gonna say keep working on myself. That's some bullshit. Keep getting help, man, and stick close and keep trusting God and working and using and sharing this program. Man. I don't know if anybody can identify with that as being a trigger time, sobriety time.
All right, cousin. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter if anybody else can relate to it. It's whatever triggers you. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Gen G. But Gen G, it's probably better if you just listen more. Because like you said, everything is a trigger, especially with 1 day back. Sure. What I would suggest, I'm going to put it in the chat. We have some podcasts. We have one podcast on emotional sobriety, because that's what a trigger does. It affects your emotional sobriety. And another podcast on relapse prevention. Because most people do not relapse the same day that they drink. Most people relapse days, weeks, months, let's say even a year or so before they physically pick up a drink. So if you pay attention to these, to your emotional sobriety and to your spiritual conditioning, then you'll remain in good shape. You want to make sure that you're in fit spiritual condition. I haven't had a drinking problem in a very long time. I still have to put in this work because alcohol was not the problem. I was the problem. I am the problem. I will be the problem until I die. So that's why I still have to keep myself in check and watch out for these emotional triggers. I still have emotional triggers, but thank God I don't have any triggers that make me want to drink. But if I don't take care of those situations, then eventually I will go back up. So you may want to copy, but this information is also available on our website. The podcast, and this podcast will be available within a few hours. But anyone else, get ready to wrap it up.
Well, just one thing, John. I think I'm Susanna, an alcoholic. I don't know if we can crosstalk in this, but I think like what Regina said is as we grow in our knowledge and our experience in this program, that rather than react, we learn to respond. And we can either respond negatively or positively. And we get more control over our emotions and our ability to pause before we speak. And I think that helps too. And I appreciate, what you all have shared. And every single time I'm in any kind of a podcast or a meeting or a conversation, I always take something out of it. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, pause, pray, and proceed. And,
I just, Can I add something?
Yes.
Um, I really appreciate this platform too, because you know how sometimes when you're in school, you don't know what you don't know. You know, you don't know what to ask because you don't know certain things. And I think that understanding the dynamics of triggers, recognizing that they are there, and so is so imperative, so important for my sobriety. Because if not, if I don't understand that they are there and it happens, I could inevitably explode into an emotional breakdown and cause me to do something that I will regret, that could be a matter of life or death. So I really appreciate this discussion. Thank you so much, because it puts it in the forefront of my mind as I'm taking this journey called life. You know, these things might happen. So how do you prepare yourself? I like the one slogan that we have in the Zoo Crew that says, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. This is one of the ways. So thank you.
And also, you know what you're going to be able to do now? You're going to be able to educate people, because there are going to be people who will say, there's no such thing as a trigger. Now you can tell them, yeah, even you have a trigger. It may even be a positive trigger, but everyone has a trigger, negative, positive, something that gets a reaction from them. Anything that gets you a reaction from you almost automatically is a trigger. So a trigger is not just something that makes you want to drink. So that actually, that came to light yesterday in our first discussion about this. Jen G, you unmuted to say something?
I just wanted to say one thing. My mom is a big trigger, and someone told me a while back to try to find the good in someone instead of the negative. And that's all. Thank you.
Absolutely, all these great tools. Yeah. Joyful Jen, did you unmute to say something as well?
Yeah, just with everyone's discussions, it's been really, really great. It's just reminded me, you know, when we first come in, that suggestion, that very strong suggestion that we don't change anything in the first year. So I don't rush into a divorce. I don't rush into selling my house. I don't rush into a relationship, because I've got quite enough to handle. You know, my life's already unmanageable without me adding to it. Not knowing how to, you know, get through a day without stinking thinking or picking up a drink is the hard enough thing in early recovery. And, you know, if I'm looking for an excuse to pick up a drink, then, you know, I'll surely find one when I'm in early recovery. But, you know, I'm just super grateful that I don't have to pick up a drink today. You know, I can take, you know, if something is triggering me, that for me, it's an instinct, it's an intuition that I've got to look at something in myself that I'm not quite right. There's something in my program I need to adjust. Yeah. So that initial reaction of doing things in an unmanageable way, because we talk about it's not just a physical trigger of wanting a drink, it's an unmanageable trigger of wanting to act out. Yeah. And it just, when people were talking, it was reminding me about that good old saying, restraint of pen and tongue. Why can't I say what I need to say? Why is it I need to take the upper hand, you know, or take the upper line, as it were? No, I want to act out today. I'm the only one that's going to feel uncomfortable and manageable about that. And I'm the one that's going to have to do the step 10. No, thank you. So, yeah.
And you've been sober for a while too, right, Jen? How long?
A little while, 2005.
18 years.
Day at a time. Awesome.
You need to let people know that. You know, let them know you're not a newcomer. We need women with time in the women's meeting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nicola did ask me to share tomorrow at the women's meeting.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen.
All right. Anything else? I think we can get ready to wrap it up. Again, the podcast will be ready. So if you haven't subscribed yet to our podcast, we're going to be doing this almost every day. Just 15 to 30 minutes on different topics. there's a topic you want us to cover, you know, a suggestion, just text me on Telegram. Add it to the list. Right.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
And if nothing, then let us close in our usual way with the Lord's Prayer, who helps us deal with our triggers. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come, will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever and ever. So again, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, please do so you'll be notified when we upload new podcasts. And if you like the videos, hit that like button, because that helps it get out to more people.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. And thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.